We like to say America's Best Tales is an animal rescue competition open to all animals. So today's show, you'll learn about 2 dogs and a horse named True-Eyed Jack.
True-Eyed Jack. And after we hear their stories, we'll reward this week's Best Tale with $1,000. It's all coming up next on America's Best Tales.
Hi again. I'm Arthur E. Benjamin. This is Bandit and Farrah White, and welcome to America's Best Tales. Our first contestant today is a little teacup poodle named Lamb Chop, and of course, this is not Lamb Chop.
This is not Lamb Chop.
This is Dexter, who's standing in for Lamb Chop today.
And why is Dexter standing in? Standing literally in?
Literally standing. Lamb Chop's owner, adopter, is feeling a bit under the weather, and so she wanted to be here, but she can't be here, so I'm here to tell her story for her.
Well, perfect, because
good.
look at this little precious honey and this little pose. And there's a funny little...
He says he'll do anything to have Lamb Chop.
Absolutely. Lamb Chop was taken in by Nita West and Kimberly Jenkins from EARS. And Kimberly's here today to tell us all about Lamb Chop's story.
And Lamb Chop's story reminds me of the Sherry Lewis show. I'm showing my age. Sherry Lewis's little Lamb Chop.
And that is how she got her name. Lamb Chop was a 2.6-pound teacup poodle that was a senior dog that came into a local shelter after it had been abandoned at a local vet's office. The vet looked at the dog's teeth, and she had 1 tooth. And that was all she had in her mouth. She had a runny nose. She was severely underweight. The shelter called us immediately and said, "We have no options for this dog. Is there any way you can help?" Because who comes to a shelter to adopt? Probably what was a 10-year-old poodle. And so thankfully, because she had the runny nose, we immediately took her in, but it was after hours. So we started her immediately on antibiotics at home. And we took her into the vet the next morning. But even the minute that she walked into the house, her last remaining tooth fell out. So she now became a toothless little dog. But she was so sweet and so underweight. But she loved being in the foster home. And we took her in the next day. And they said, well, she's running a fever. We need to do something about all the holes from the teeth where they had fallen out. They were all the way up into her sinus cavity. And so we need to do something about that, and we need to spay her because she was a 10-year-old dog without being spayed. They took her in. She had such a horrible infection in her uterus that it was about to erupt. It weighed a 1/2 pound all by itself, and this is only a 2.5-pound dog. So
20% of its weight.
Seriously.
This is what happens to dogs when we don't spay them. They can have a disease called pyometria. And this is why another reason why spay and neuter is so important. But she got through that, and the vet said the only reason that she survived was because we had started her on that combination of antibiotics for the nose. But that's what kept her from having the uterus rupture, and she made it through surgery. But when we took her in, we didn't dream that anybody would want to come and adopt her. But she was the cutest little dog. We had, you remember Lincoln, our 3-legged dog? Mm-hmm. He was at a mobile adoption with Lamb Chop, and the 2 of them played. So you had an 80-pound dog and a 2-pound dog playing together, and I think we've got them in a couple of the photos. But Nita came in and said she wanted to adopt Lamb Chop no matter what, and let her live out the days with her. And I think that's what a wonderful story is about, that there's so many wonderful senior dogs in shelters that don't have any option because everybody wants a puppy. And just like this dog, Dexter, was another senior dog that everybody passed over. And he was white in the face, so nobody would look at him.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him to turn
Dexter,
around.
Let's see. Come here.
Come turn around, Dexter.
Turn around. Now do your sit. He said, if you will sit in front of me, I will do my sits all day long. And he is a wonderful dog, great with children, great with great with other dogs and cats, but he's become a great ambassador for senior dogs and the wonderful reasons why to consider adopting a senior dog. So we use him quite a bit.
He has a good home now.
He gets to permanently stay with me.
Oh.
And so, yeah, he has a bad heart and a little bit of a gimpy leg, but he has an awesome life. So he's our little education ambassador.
Well, he's absolutely sweet and so precious the way that he sits up.
And look at his little tail.
Yes, but
I know.
unfortunately, I'm facing the wrong direction for him
He's
to
here
look.
representing Lamb Chop and
Yes.
Lamb Chop story.
And hopefully Lamb Chop can come in for another visit because she is the most cutest little thing. Even at 10 years old, if you give her a bite, she only eats one bite at a time, and then she does spins back and around.
Well, and despite being toothless and older, she's
She
a
still
very
loves her
popular
food.
dog, right?
Oh yes, and she became really popular with the rescue group as well.
Huh.
And so it was very nice to be able to see other people thinking about opening up their hearts to a senior dog. And dogs can live such a long time. Just because you adopt a senior dog doesn't mean that you only have them for a couple of years.
No.
They can live to be 15 to 20 to. I have a friend that has a 24-year-old Shih Tzu. It happens.
I adopted a 10-year-old poodle Maltese.
Yes.
Maltipoo.
Uh-huh.
Lived 18 and a half years old.
Yes, I had one that recently passed away that was almost 19. So it does happen, and there's wonderful lives. And think about the hardship that they had before. So you get to give them some really wonderful years together.
Well, absolutely. And another nice thing about a mature dog is that all of the pretty much puppy part is gone.
You know what?
You know?
That was the nicest thing about Lamb Chop when she came in. I can't say enough good things about her. She wanted to be loved. She wanted to snuggle. She wanted to play, but she didn't chew up the furniture.
Yeah.
She didn't pee in the house. She was a phenomenal dog.
See, and so it's all of the good parts there that you have to take into
Yes.
consideration as well, which is super important, certainly
Very.
for people with busy lifestyles and, you know, that don't necessarily have the time.
And it is interesting. We also have to think about sometimes when you look at the really small little dogs, you know, probably the reason why she was 10 years old and not fixed is because someone was breeding her. And so that is a wonderful reason why to consider spaying and neutering, because even if you're not planning on having puppies, you are extending the dog's life significantly.
Well, absolutely, and we are certainly big proponents of that.
Yes.
Well, Lamb Chop's story comes to us from EARS, Education and Animal Rescue Society. You can find out more about EARS by visiting their website, earstexas.org.
Thanks, Vanita and Kimberly, for sharing Lamb Chop's story.
Yes.
Sorry she couldn't be here today,
Okay.
but when we come back, we'll learn one about a horse named True-Eyed Jack.
True-Eyed Jack.
A
So
horse. I
stay
say
with
it's for
us.
all animals.
Of course.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, we welcome all animal rescue stories, not just those of dogs, to America's Best Tales. And our next contestant delivers on it. It's actually our first horse rescue brought to us by Equest Therapeutic Horsemanship, and it's the story of a horse named True-Eyed Jack.
Yes, True-Eyed Jack, a.k.a. JJ, was a therapeutic riding horse who helped those with special needs. JJ was Stacy Johnson's horse. Stacy, along with Carol Chamberlin and Martha Johnson from Equest, are here with us today. Thank you so much, first of all, for being here, all three of you ladies. And Stacy, tell us a little bit about JJ and what he meant to you.
JJ, I rode JJ for a long time, and I loved him. Every time I went to a stall, he came up right to me. I pet him and loved on him. And when I rode him, he was really good. Like, I do English, Western.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, working trail, showmanship, dressage. He was really good. A trot and canter. And when he went to shows, he loved shows, being at shows. When I go to the ring, he was really good at the trot and the canter and all the stuff that he does.
How did you feel when you were riding JJ?
It felt really good because he knew that I loved him, and when I ride him, he knew it was me on top of him.
Well, he was probably so good because he loved you too.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to have that trust and relationship. Certainly, it's important with a large animal like a horse.
Yep.
Carol and Martha, you see lots of horses bond with animals, but have you seen others like this?
Go ahead, Carol.
Well, I would say not often, especially in a therapeutic environment where the horse is working with many of our clients. But the relationship that JJ and Stacy formed was unique. He just loved her, and she truly loved him back. You'd see him in the back of the stall, you know, his head resting in her arms, and he'd be nickering at her and all this other kind of stuff. They really had a great relationship. They really did. JJ probably helped hundreds of riders. He truly did. But Stacy and Jay Bird, they had a very unique relationship. And he carried her through. I think he got you your first blue ribbon.
Yep.
With many more to follow.
But you know, the other thing he did for her was she had to have surgery in '99, and she became an invalid after surgery. They would set her up and she would fall over. So she had to learn to do everything all over again, and the doctors told us that she would never walk again. When we left the hospital, she left in a wheelchair, and they told us she is not going to walk. And you know, I knew she needed therapeutic riding. I got her back, and she started riding JJ, and it was unbelievable that she's walking. Her doctors came out and could not believe the process, that she could even stand on her own and do all of these wonderful things. And I contributed to JJ and their bond they had together. Without him, I think still today she would be in her chair. I mean, she still has a lot of issues, but nothing like she did back when she had to have her surgery and became an invalid.
Well, it's interesting because I would never even have thought that, you know, they were talking about you. It seems so unlikely because you are so healthy and so far away from anything like that. So, and you look great, and you've got the belt buckle on.
Yep.
Well, tell us a little bit more about Equest and what all the organization does.
Equest is a therapeutic riding center for children and adults with all types of disabilities. They come, we have a lot of children that come for hippotherapy, and that's where they use the horse as a therapy tool. And when you come, it's not like typical therapy, and they enjoy it. And it's a little different, but they use the horse as a therapy tool. And like when Stacy came, she wasn't walking, and the horse is the only animal that has the same gait as a human. So even though you're not walking, if you are sitting on top of the horse, it's moving your pelvic muscles as if you're walking. I mean, she would come ride, she'd go home and sleep for 2 or 3 hours. She would be so tired. But it helps all types of disabilities. We have them from 2 up to 60 if you've had a stroke. It is remarkable. We have children that have never spoke laugh on top of the horse. We have children that haven't walked, oh my gosh, are just, it's unbelievable. It's like a miracle. When you go and watch, you never want to leave. We go through 400 volunteers a week to help 150 riders ride, and they are there religiously.
That's incredible.
Because they love it so much.
Now, had you ridden before you got involved with Equest?
I've been riding for 19 years.
Nice.
At Equest.
At Equest.
At Equest.
Prior to
Well,
Equest, no. She's had some.
She had not really ridden before. She wanted to ride, and we realized really fast that she could not, her dad and I started calling barns, and we realized really fast she could not ride at a regular barn. And we found Equest, and she had started Equest before she had to have her surgery. She started riding there. She progressed very fast, walk, trot, canter. She was in shows. And Stacy has a bone disease, and what it is her bones are very thick, but not only her bones, her skull is very thick. She has lost all hearing in her right ear, partial hearing in her left. She has sight issues, and the reason why is her skull is so thick it kind of mashes some of her nerves. But she just started riding and did so well, and then she started having issues, and that's when they went in and released some of the pressure, and then after that, that's when she couldn't walk, and she had to learn, so she's learned to ride twice. She's had to learn to do everything twice, to walk, to eat, to everything.
But now she's jumping, and she recently picked up vaulting. Equest has many aspects. We have hippotherapy, we have sports riding. The goal of sports riding is for every rider to become as independent as possible. Recently, we just lost one of our favorite riders. He was a Paralympian at London, and he scored 4th in the world.
Well, which is incredible for anyone, let alone someone involved with that organization.
Exactly. So we've had many successes. We do carriage driving. We do vaulting, which Stacy's jumped. She jumps.
See, and you know what?
Everything.
And I think that you probably have some pictures that we can see to show of that. Equest is truly an incredible organization. Find out more on their website and go to equest.org.
Still to come, we meet Lincoln, our third contestant, and we and the Oracle will be right back. Welcome back to America's Best Tales, and I lied. I said there was only one horse as a contestant today. Our third and final contestant is really a dog, not a horse, although his size is a little different than most of the dogs we see. Our contestant today is Lincoln, a Great Dane rescued from Great Dane Rescue of North Texas.
Yes, Lincoln's here today with his family, Adam and Connie Young, and Colleen Phelan with Great Dane Rescue of North Texas. Welcome, you guys, all of you. And of course, Lincoln, who I think is the biggest dog we've had on the show.
And probably the most gentle.
Look at him. Yeah, gentle giant certainly rings true. So tell us about finding Lincoln.
They got the call.
Yeah. Great Dane Rescue of North Texas is a 501c3 rescue. We're volunteer run, and we pull dogs from the local shelters. The local shelters are really good about contacting us when they get a Dane. As you can probably guess, these guys eat a lot. They take up a lot of space. And when a shelter's dealing with a tight budget, it's hard for them to really house and care for a Dane when they have other dogs that need them. So they called us. Lincoln had come to them. He was extremely underweight. He was covered in tumors, and they really couldn't give him the medical attention they needed. So we took him in, and actually that's where Adam and Connie came in. They transported him for us. All the dogs that come to us go to a vet to be checked out when they come in. And when Lincoln got to our vet, he was extremely underweight. Which we knew, and he was so underweight that they didn't feel that they could put him through a procedure to remove the tumors and send them off for biopsy. As I mentioned, we're all volunteer run, and so we don't have a shelter, we have foster homes. And again, this is where Adam and Connie came in. Actually, this is a unique story. Most of the time we don't have this kind of continuity. We have so many different volunteers that are involved, but they fostered him for us. They got him up to a healthy weight, and in August, our vet did the biopsies. He was in the procedure for almost 3 hours.
Yes. Wow.
And it was very stressful on him. They weren't even able to get...
Yeah, his blood pressure went down, so they had to take him out before they finished, but they got a couple of the big ones off. So.
Oh, please look.
But, you know, when you're dealing with tumors, you don't really know what it's going to be. It ended up that he has skin cancer, so not as bad as it could be. It hadn't spread to any of his organs. But with a dog that has a known condition like cancer, it's harder to place that dog. And we do get special needs cases. We do get very wonderful people who want to adopt the special needs dogs that understand what that is. But in Lincoln's case, we didn't even have to go down that path.
No, definitely not. It
You
was
weren't letting go.
It was one of those situations where you just walk in and you just know instantly that that dog is going to be with you forever. He basically adopted us.
Well, and I understand you already had a pretty big family.
Oh yeah.
2 others. We have a Great Dane Lab mix, and then another Great Dane that we rescued from the group 3 years ago. And
This big?
almost, not
Not
quite.
quite.
Not quite. I'd been out at the shelter earlier that week rescuing another Great Dane that came into the program, and they asked me to take him home. I'm like, I don't have the capacity for 2 today. And then they called back and later that week and asked us to pick him up, and I was still off. I'd taken some vacation time, so I was supposed to be doing something really exciting. So when I got the phone call, I asked her, I said, well, how about instead of dinner we go out and do a rescue dog for our 25th anniversary? So we picked him up from rescue on our 25th anniversary, and that made him kind of special. And then when he fit in so well at home, that made him kind of permanent.
Aww.
So he's our anniversary present to each other.
Well, he's beautiful. Now,
What a
how does
great
he get along
anniversary
with the
present.
rest of the family?
That's part of what made it easy to make the decision. He integrated seamlessly, and the other dogs get along well. He gets along well with everybody, so it made it kind of simple. No issues, no challenges, so he just blended in and made himself at home.
What's the prognosis on his condition?
We're going to keep an eye on it
It's
with the
positive.
vet. You know, so there may be a need to remove some things, but they're again, like you said, they're not going into the organs or anything, and it's staying dermal, and then have to take some others off in the future. But you know, we're just going to make sure he has a good rest of his life compared to what it was when he came into the program.
What a nice 25th wedding anniversary present.
It was really neat.
That's funny. Well, Arthur's funny. Are you going to get on the floor and play with this one?
I think Bandit's going to get on the floor just to show some size difference
Throw him
here.
in there. No,
Here you go,
seriously.
Bandit.
Don't
Go
put
get
me
him.
down
But I
there.
heard this is a funny dog.
Bandit.
He is hysterical. He really has no fear and squared off in the backyard the other night with a skunk. So that was fun.
Lost that.
Oh, don't step on Bandit.
It's okay.
Poor Bandit.
Bandit's been stepped on before.
Yeah, we were talking about how if this dog steps on you, that would really count.
Yeah.
The first time I brought him home to introduce him to the other dogs, I took him out in the backyard. I thought, well, I'm not going to do this in the house. We'll do it in the backyard. So I'm walking down to go out further out back, and he tries to pass me on the left and falls in the pool.
Oh, no.
And he looked at me with that panic in his face, and I looked back with panic in the face. And he kind of swam over to the side and put his paws up on the side, and wasn't sure what he could do until he realized, well, I can just stand up.
Put my legs down.
So he just stood up.
And it was 8 feet deep at that.
Not that deep. So I grabbed him by the paws, walked him over to the steps, and he's kind of stayed away since.
That's funny. Well, Colleen, what do you think about all of this?
I am so happy that this has worked out the way it has. We get so many wonderful dogs in our program, and it's always great to see where they end up. You know, this is interesting because it's a foster home that adopted him, but
Foster failures.
Yeah.
Definite foster failures.
But we get a lot of people who are not actually associated with us that want to adopt the dogs too. So they're not all this way. We don't always get the updates the same way either. This is cool because we get the updates from Adam and Connie. We get to see how much better he's doing than he was when he came in.
And so you do Great Danes. Do you do any Great Dane mixes also?
We primarily do Great Danes. Every now and then we'll have a mix. Most of them, as far as we know, are purebred. The interesting thing is that you think Great Danes, you think of a dog the size of Lincoln.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of variation in the size and the coloring. So
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
Huge, huge, huge. Well, as we mentioned, Lincoln is here on behalf of the Great Dane Rescue of North Texas. So go to danerescue.net for more information about this wonderful, great rescue organization.
And we're going to take another short break, but when we come back, the moment of truth for one of our 3 contestants will be here. Stay with us, and if we can find the oracle, we'll have an answer.
We'll get the oracle back.
Well, welcome back to America's Best Tales, and now's the time to select the story that moved us the most.
Yes.
So let's recap our 3 stories. Farah?
Well, Lamb Chop was the teacup poodle that was rescued by EARS. JJ was a therapeutic horse brought to us by Equest. And Lincoln is the Great Dane rescued by the Young family.
The Great Great Dane.
The Great Dane.
Let's reveal our winners, starting with 3rd place and a check for $250 to Lamb Chop.
Yes, who had a wonderful stand-in today. That was
Dexter.
amazing to watch.
And 2nd place goes for $500 to Lincoln.
And look what else, Lincoln. Oh, boy.
And our best in show this week goes to Equest
Yes.
and True-Eyed Jack.
Yay.
So,
Yeah, thank you so much, all of you, for being here. It's very, very special and very, very important to us. And we're in love with this show and in love with the competition and feel like everybody gets to be a winner.
and here's a story perfect for our show of how a horse made a difference in the life of a human, and humans made a difference in the life of a horse? No, a dog. Thanks to all our contestants today. Join us next week for 3 new animal rescue stories.
And as always, find out more about America's Best Tales and For the Love of Dogs at AmericanDogRescue.org.
And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and I'm Arthur Benjamin with Farrah White and the Oracle, Bandit, and we'll see you again next week, this time this station. Thank you.
Thank you.